Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
Do you want to hear a story? I'm not letting go.
Are you ready for this?
Follow your heart.
I'm going in!
This is
Blockbuster Punch-Up!
Oh, God! What's that noise?
I don't know. What's going on?
Oh, we hit that building, didn't we?
My ears are still ringing.
Hold on, let me close this. Switch this off.
Jeez.
I told you not to let me fly the damn thing.
Well, I trusted in you, and you know.
I told you I cannot steer the airship, okay?
I had to go get some snacks.
What snacks are you getting? We're like, what, 45 an hour out from the portal?
Sure, yeah. Thought we might want some gushers.
Wait, what? You were going to get what?
The gushers.
The gushers?
Yeah.
You telling me you had gushers on this airship?
But the ship is broken.
Wait. What do you mean the ship is broken?
I mean, look, you just try these buttons. I mean, all the electrical systems are fried. I mean, everything's just broken, man.
Oh my God.
The check engine light's not even working.
We had all this momentum. We're going to be fine. Look. We're going to coast. We're going to get right in there.
I hate to break it to you, but at the trajectory that we're kind of going at, you know, we're sort of going to hit that outer ring over there.
Oh my God, we're going to hit portal asteroids?
Exactly. The asteroid belt they have belts.
You're telling me we could die?
No.
Oh,
no. We will die.
We what?
Yeah. The situation is pretty dire.
Look, we knew this was going to happen.
That
we didn't know this was going to happen.
Well, I mean,
but
eventually.
with all the cucumber men and I've been...
Everyone die. All things must pass.
I have to say, if this is going to be it, I've thought about this a lot, and I'm just going to come out and say it.
I love you too, Jay. You just don't even have to say it, man. Is that not...
No, yeah.
All right. No, go on, whatever you were going to...
Yeah, no, that...
Didn't mean to sidetrack you.
Yep, to you too. And,
didn't mean to sidetrack
but besides that, I really didn't like Indiana Jones 4.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
Yes, I hated that movie. I'm sorry. I know that's not a popular opinion.
No, that is a popular opinion. I'm pretty sure everyone hates that movie.
You don't like that movie?
No, I hate that movie.
It has a 78% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
What?
Man, as a kid, I loved Indiana Jones, those movies, everything about them.
That's like our childhood.
I still defend Temple of Doom.
Hey, Temple of Doom has some great stuff going on.
I love that bridge scene, man. The bridge scene is great.
Yeah.
But what do we got left? Like an hour?
Enough time for a podcast.
But I mean, you don't think the podcasting equipment made it out of this, right?
Well, let's see.
Oh, wow. It's actually on.
I think it's been on right now.
It's pretty strange that everything else on the ship got damaged except for the podcasting equipment. All right, well, I guess let's do this professionally. This is our last podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Welcome to Blockbuster Punch-Up, episode 27, our final episode.
Final frontier.
I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host and film enthusiast, Todd G. Levin.
Hey.
Hey, Todd, how you doing?
Well, I'm going to die. But
moving right along.
But I'm feeling great.
We always do a recap, a film recap at the top. Do you remember Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
I think so, yeah.
All right, well, let's do a film recap. Here we go.
Well, we start in the magnificent desert of Nevada, in a giant mound that turns into a CGI gopher hill. Well, it's the 50s, and
a lot of CGI gophers back in the 50s.
Rock and roll, Model T Fords, and the Red Scare all tell us that it's only about 5 or 10 years after we last saw Indy, and he should only be that much older. Soviets, disguised as U.S. Army troops, infiltrate Area 51, because it's the 50s.
Yeah, there was like, what, how many guys guarding Area 51?
It's like 3.
3 or 4 guys.
3 guys.
They don't check, they see a bunch of guys roll up with guns and military vehicles, and they go, hey there, what are you guys up to? Blam, 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 blam.
Indy's stowed in the trunk. He's asked by a steely, creepy, potentially telepathic Russian Captain Kate Blanchett for the location of a mummified magnetic alien in a giant warehouse full of crates.
Totally normal.
As you do. Indy is forced to help, but escapes to an abandoned town full of mannequins, only to realize he stumbled upon a nuclear test site and survives an atomic blast by hiding in a refrigerator.
Yeah, pretty good.
It's
pretty
normal.
Pretty straightforward.
Professor Jones is fired from the university he works at because of heat from the FBI.
Because he's now a nuclear man.
He's given an encrypted letter about El Dorado and a message from an old friend named Oxley by a kid named Mutt, a college dropout greaser who rides a motorcycle and dips a pocket comb in Coca-Cola to brush his hair. The two embark on a journey to find Oxley, which leads them to Peru, where they find a crystal skull in a graveyard guarded by ancient warriors.
Totally normal.
Giant ants that make double helix bridges, monkeys teaching Tarzan lessons, magical waterfalls that don't kill you when you fall down them, no matter how tall or how many of them there are.
A classic Indiana Jones film.
They find that Oxley is alive and well, and that none other than Marion Ravenwood is Mutt's mother, and incidentally, Indy's son. Somehow all of these things have to do with ancient Mayans being visited by ancient aliens, and the Soviets who are after the telepathic powers of a crystal skull, which turns out to be the missing head of an alien in what appears to be a tomb, but turns out to be a command deck of a flying saucer, which flies off into another dimension, but only after Indy and his friends escape unharmed and all the Russians are dead, because it's the 50s. Those commie bastards.
Sons of bitches.
Indy and Marion get married. The film makes a nod to Mutt filling Indy's shoes in the future. Everyone is smiling, and if they haven't already, this is where everyone in the audience throws up.
So that was our film recap. Hey, I just noticed something. We also wrote below the engine light sign, we had a little piece of paper. Hey, by the way, don't forget, you can fix this if you go down into the engine because it is the actual engine, you idiots.
Right. I wrote that.
That's right. I guess we could just try to fix the engine.
Instead of dying?
Instead of dying. This is a great idea.
Wait a minute. I know how to do that.
You do know how to do that. You know how to do all this stuff.
I know. Night school really paid off.
Yeah, man. You know what? People don't think fixing airships is a thing, but...
And people don't think DeVry University works, but...
Yeah.
Thanks, DeVry.
All right, so just head down there.
It's a little dark and the emergency systems aren't even working.
Oh, come on. Are you
scary.
Are you still worried about the... They got in here only, like, what? Half a dozen times.
That's more than 0 times, Jay.
Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Is there anything I can take around here, like a flashlight or like maybe a weapon, crowbar?
You take the podcast mic.
Oh, yeah, okay, that would work.
Right?
I feel totally safe with that.
Oh,
and that way we can keep doing the podcast.
Yeah, we can keep doing the podcast. Hey, we
Great.
started. We got to finish this thing,
We
right?
have to finish.
And while you do that, I'll just work on these calculations, and I think we'll be good.
Yeah, okay, yeah, here, hand me that. All
Yeah,
right,
there
great.
you go.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to go down there alone and fix the thingamadoo.
Yeah.
Might not come back, but you'll be able to hear
yeah.
my screams.
Oh, no, definitely.
I'll be right back.
All right, well, I guess that takes us right into our punch-up.
Punch-Up!
What was that sound?
It was the crocodile.
The what?
The flying crocodile. It was down here.
Oh my god, there was a flying crocodile in there?
Oh yeah, I had to punch it in the face.
Well, now it's more than half a dozen. That kind of ruins that whole phrasing.
Right, it's 7 now.
Yeah.
Unless there's more.
I think you're gonna be fine. How's the engine looking?
Well, it's cracked down the middle there.
Ooh.
But
That's bad, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Is there some... Can you fix it?
Well, I've got this paper clip, double-sided die, these gushers.
Oh my god, you found the rest of the gushers?
Jay, I have an idea. It just requires you to forget about the gushers for a moment.
Okay.
/ for the end of time. Until we
What do you
potentially return to civilization and have all the gushers we want.
All right, well... Do what you got to do down there. I guess in the meantime, we can still talk about the movie.
Oh, yeah.
So, you're getting the gushers ready to use on the machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we usually talk about the pros of the movie, what we really liked. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff in there to like. There's some good Indiana Jones moments.
Absolutely.
And I mean, some of them, yes, are kind of like rehashed from previous movies, but like there's some fun bits. Like I love Indiana Jones's kind of joke about his son like not going to college. I thought that was a fun joke.
a great. I mean, listen, yes, the crystal skull alien flying saucer situation was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you know what was cool? Crystal skulls.
Crystal skulls are pretty cool.
Those things are cool.
They were. The crystal skull was a really cool prop.
Yeah.
I liked how it looked. You know what? The ending is super weird and dumb in a lot of ways. But I did kind of like the skeleton skull things. Now, did they need to be alive? Probably not.
Did it need to be revealed in the beginning that they're dealing with aliens? Like, probably not.
Literally the first 5 minutes.
Right. Like, it might have been a nice reveal at the end or something.
Potentially. I do really like the concept of an older Indiana Jones
Yes.
getting into the game to sort one last adventure out. I mean, we don't know if it's his last adventure, but
Right.
they didn't really say that. But I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
I like an older Indiana Jones.
And, and him getting like back together with Marion. I mean, who doesn't love Karen Allen? I really enjoyed seeing her in this movie. And speaking of casting, of course, besides Harrison Ford, you've got Karen Allen, John Hurt, Cate Blanchett, who's like my favorite person ever.
Yeah, she's great.
She's incredible. She's a little goofy in this movie, but you know
let's
what?
clarify. These are great actors and actresses. Let's
right.
clarify when we say they were
That's right.
great. They are great
Not
people.
necessarily in this movie.
Maybe not necessarily in this movie. Also, there were some great bits. I love the snake bit.
There were nice moments. The snake bit in the dry sand.
Yeah.
And then I really personally liked the nuclear test site a lot.
There's fun stuff with it. Now, the end of that scene is pretty batshit
The end is
crazy.
ridiculous, but I thought it was a really creepy set.
It is.
That you like wander on and there's like all these mannequins and you're like, what is this? I mean, I wish that was like in another movie or whatever. That would have been really nice if that was just like taken out and put in something else or just done differently.
Right. But yeah, I think that kind of ends our pros of the film.
Yeah.
So let's move on to some of the negatives of Indiana Jones Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So first big problem we had was the driving force of the movie did not exist.
There wasn't.
Not really one there.
So let's just review what happens
Let's
here.
unpack the driving force.
Some kid that he's never met gives him a letter from a guy that we've never met to find Indy by a woman that we don't know who she is and we've never met about something that we barely even know about.
And thank God Indy just got fired for being, red tagged, or he
He's
might have
got
been
time
like,
off.
hey, I got all this time. Let's go on a hair-raising adventure. Kid I don't know.
Kid I don't know.
Who's
Exactly.
probably not my son.
All of this rests on the idea that just Indiana Jones will want to go. He's an archaeologist and he's old and he has nothing to do and he'll want to go to Peru because he's
and the
a
driving
guy.
force is like, just go and hang out with your old professor buddy, maybe.
Yeah, like there's nothing.
They say like, I think they say like they're gonna kill him, but like it's still like, you want to go to like Peru? The other thing is like you might be thinking, well, in the beginning, those Russians were after a device, Jay and Todd, just like those other movies. The Nazis were after the Ark of the Covenant, and the Nazis again were after immortality in the third movie, Last Crusade. But
why don't they just call it Indiana Jones 4 MacGuffin?
This movie, the Russians, yes, are after a very powerful device.
Right.
The thing is, though, Indiana Jones doesn't know what it is, and neither do we.
Hey, that's actually a really good point.
So the thing is, like, he's not going like, we got to get this out of the hands of the Russians because you don't know what they could have. You don't know what they could do with alien crystal skulls. He doesn't know what it is.
He doesn't even know what it is.
While in the first movie, he's like, oh, we can't let the Ark of the Covenant get in the hands of the Nazis because he knows about the Ark of the Covenant. He's studied the Ark of the Covenant. His dad has researched it.
And while he doesn't believe in the supernatural properties of the Ark of the Covenant, he still believes that it belongs in a museum and
he also
it's
believes
important.
the propagandiness of it, like, rallying more people around their cause, being like, look, we have the Ark, like, follow us.
So he's going for sort of moral reasons.
Exactly.
And then there's also this other reason that we are watching because we know that it's real. Mm-hmm. We know that there's actual power there. Or at least we all kind of hope, right?
Right.
With this, it's like from the first scene in the movie, there's like magnetic shards flying all over a warehouse. We're in Area 51 already. It's like real already. Just in the beginning of the movie, it's like, here's Area 51, the secret to like a lot of other movies.
This great area that we saw at the end of Ark of the Covenant, this really fun tease of like this grand room with all these magical secrets and boxes in them. And you just kind of like,
let's start there.
Do they have like a Dewey Decimal System in there? Like, is it just all used by gunpowder? Like, where's that one alien we put in here? Shit, do we put him under a bunch of boxes?
Hand me your gun.
Here we go. Right. The old find the alien with gunpowder trick. And yeah, like the driving force here is that we're just supposed to assume that Indiana Jones just is like, fuck it, I don't have anything to do, let's go.
Right, and it's weak.
And once he meets up with Marion and he meets up with John Hurt's character and all the teams together and they finally get away from the Russians, they're still going to this temple to like return the crystal skull for no reason.
It's so problematic. They literally like solve all of the problems, the weak problems that the movie sets up at the beginning, which is we need to get Oxley. Also, what is this crystal skull?
And of course, instead of doing what Indiana Jones always does in movies and his driving force behind anything, if we're putting aside, hey, my friend's in danger or people are dying or the Nazis are going to have super weapons, it's always, this belongs in a museum. But not this movie, he's like, I'm gonna return it to the temple because that's what new Indiana Jones does, I guess.
And listen, like in Temple of Doom, they do that too, but that's because that was part of the mission.
Right.
This entire town is has an illness around it because these sacred stones have been stolen from this temple thing, and they got to go get it because it's taken.
While in this one, there isn't a town dying of sickness because the crystal skull is missing.
There aren't children who are being used as slaves.
There isn't like, the waters are rising around Peru. We have to save Peru because the skull's been gone.
The silverback gorillas are going to go extinct.
Also, the skulls have been gone for like centuries, right? Like they
No
were
one-
in like that, like hanging. They were in that tomb. that
Literally
no
one but Kate Blanchett cares about these fucking skulls.
Nobody cares except
It's John
one
Hurt.
group does care about the skulls. It's the people that live in that temple. And you know what? They kind of take us into our next big con with this film, which was the gags and weird moments that this film had.
my
like
God.
really strange moments.
This movie's full of really like just offbeat kind of moments that would do really well maybe in like a comedy or something,
Yeah.
except that the moments aren't even funny. So there's these guys that live in the temple, and it's a little weird because it's an ancient temple that no one's like been to.
No one's ever been to.
This is supposed to be
There's
basically
no villages around. There's no like houses. Like,
Right.
hey, this is the local temple. There's some villagers that hang out near that temple.
It's supposed to be like El Dorado
Yeah,
kind of thing,
nobody's
right?
been there.
And it's nobody's been there, and it's this forgotten place. And somehow, I mean, it could be tribesmen, and like that's okay. That's a good explanation. Except for the fact that when we meet them, they come out of the wall
They
and
do.
they're covered in rocks as if they
from the wall.
As
They've
if
been bricked into the wall.
So are they supernatural? Do they just get up every morning and like after coffee plaster themselves into the linoleum, you
Hey,
know?
Jim, I know we do this every day, and I know my father's father did it, and well, his fathers and his father beforehand, they paint themselves into these walls waiting for strangers to come and bring a crystal skull into our temple so we could hop out and scare them. But I mean, do you ever think about traveling?
And like it would have been fine if they just showed people coming after them.
Yeah.
But they show them coming out of the wall, which just has all these questions behind it. Like, are these people like just immortal? Have they been there for centuries guarding this? Like,
And when we think we're going to get answers to this, they quickly cut to, they're afraid of the skull, and then they disappear from the movie.
which is, by the way, every single thing that happens in the movie.
They solve it with the skull.
It's like the answer after them, and like, oh, the skull will save us. I don't know.
And also, the end of the movie, like, that whole area gets destroyed. Like, did all those people just die in there? Like, do we forget? Like, what happened? They walked away with the skull, and then what did all those people do? They were like, well, this was our tribe's work for centuries to protect this temple. I guess we'll just go. I guess we'll leave.
I guess we failed. They got
failed,
through.
guys. They
all
had-
right, all right, go home. Pack it in.
They had the skull. Wait, weren't we waiting for someone to bring the skull? Yeah, but the skull's pretty scary. We got to get the hell out of here, though.
They look like pretty nice guys.
Let's go back into the temple. Bring all the kids. Bring all the kids. We'll have a family day in the temple. It'll be fine.
The other thing that's really weird is that we've already seen this moment with the guys in the temple because it happens in this graveyard moment.
Yeah, earlier in the movie.
Where there's these other guys, and it's just like, who the fuck are these guys?
Who are these people that just hang out in old temples and graveyards?
They're like these banshees, and listen, we know that they're like tribes, like we get it, but like, do they just hang out in like graveyards and like,
and then give up as soon as one person shows any aggression? Like, oh, you can fight? All right, bye.
And in that graveyard scene, there's that really weird moment with the knife. So they take a knife from one of these mummies, a sarcophagus,
Right?
And there's this really weird moment that's in one shot that I don't quite understand exactly what the moment's supposed to be. Indy asked Mutt for a knife. He said, do you have a knife? Which, by the way, he already knows he has a fucking knife.
He's been spinning that knife in every fucking scene.
It's the
before
only
this.
thing that he has.
It's the only character trait that Mutt has.
Besides a comb and a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And he gives him the knife. He cuts open the sarcophagus. He finds another knife. And then he takes it, Indy does, and then returns it and says, I was going to return it, or like something.
Yeah, it's like a really weird moment.
There's
Like,
this weird exchange
it's like he
between them.
feels awkward about taking the knife in front of the kid. Like he was like, well, I'll have a knife too. Well, never mind. I'll just put this knife back.
It's the weirdest
It doesn't
moment.
make any sense.
And then
Doesn't make any sense.
later they're all like tied up in the back of this Soviet vehicle, and they're all like trapped or whatever. Mutt throws his pocket knife on Indy's shoulder. Indy like shrugs it, and it goes behind him, and they're all like, oh, good. But then there's this strange sound.
This like cutting noise.
That sounds like a rip or a
like
cut.
it sounds like he messed up or he cut himself.
And then it shows Indy's face, and he's like, huh? And then it shows Mutt, and he's like, huh? And then Indy just cuts the wrist thing off.
The rope.
And there's just like this really weird moment that just
happened there.
I think even Mutz is like, what'd you do?
Even Indy has like a weird look in his face, like,
Right.
oh no. And then just takes his hands out and he's fine and they're fine and they just forget about that moment.
What did you do? And then other than that, there's all these like really dumb, cheesy one-liner gags that just hurt a lot, you know?
Dance on your own time, kid.
Come on, dance on your own time, kid.
So strange.
What is this?
I don't know.
When paired with Shia LaBeouf swinging on vines in the jungle,
God.
or this nuking of the fridge situation, it's ridiculous.
It's
like
just
the
like
whole
a
movie,
comedy show.
it's a joke and it's not funny.
You forgot when all the ferns hit Shia LaBeouf in the balls for about 10 minutes because that happened. But yeah, guys, there's all these terrible gags. It's like a comedy, but it's not supposed to be. There's no driving force. And at the end of the day, we'd still could be interested in this film if there was some mystery left, right?
Yeah.
It's an adventure film. Like, what are they looking for? What's happening? Like, what's going on? Where are they going to end up? But this film, the last con we want to talk about here is they consistently, in this movie, show their hand on everything.
Yeah.
So at the top, the very first scene we see Indiana Jones in, he's doing everything Indiana Jones. Now, granted, he's not very old, but he's also not in his prime anymore.
Right.
And I feel like some of these moments where you want to see old Indy doing Indy stuff again is going to be towards the end of the film, right? You don't want to see the very first scene. He's swinging off of things, blowing stuff up. Like, that should be the finale.
Right.
You've got cars skidding out. You end up on a rocket ship. You're fighting like the final Russian bad guy at the end of the base. But it's happening in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
It's the return of Indiana Jones, and Indiana Jones returns in the first 5 minutes and creates the rest of, it basically deflates the rest of the film into just callback gags from previous films.
That's the best Indiana Jones fight scene in the whole movie.
Is the beginning.
Is the beginning.
Yeah.
And everything else just falls flatter from there.
That's the only time when he uses the whip.
The whip, he does everything in that scene.
Right.
And then from there, we cut back to like him at the college, and now he's back to being a professor again, and we're like, wait, like you can't just start at that and then cut back to, well, he's just going to be a professor and hang out at a tea shop and meet this guy named Mutt. And you're like, was that opening scene supposed to be at the end of the movie?
It's almost like Spielberg and Lucas were making the movie as if people walk out in the first 5 to 10 minutes of a film, always. And then, you know, not just that, but like they telegraph everything. I mean, you know that Mutt's his son.
You also get this moment where Marianne and Indy get together and they're just like instantly in love again.
They literally re-met from a long time ago, 5 minutes ago. They're mad at each other for 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
Indy says like a flirty line and she's all gushy, gooey, you know, smiling. And then they're like, together again,
trying to kiss like within the first few minutes, and like they're trying to kiss on that truck or be like, you were the only one for me, baby, but we're like, we still have 45 minutes of movie left.
Like, what are we gonna do here?
What's the rest of your relationship development?
And what about the alien thing?
The alien thing,
talk about mystery. Talk about mystery being solved.
In the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, in the first 5 minutes, not only do we visit Area 51 and retrieve a bag of something.
So really the first scene is the end of the movie. We've got Indiana Jones being his most Indiana Jones he can be, having like a one-on-one final fight with like the Russian side boss.
Right.
We've got the reveal of the creature, opening up the case, revealing that it's an alien.
And we have it in the most interesting location.
In all of the Indiana Jones series.
The warehouse
Area 51.
of the end of...
but it happens in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
It's backwards.
And that's the strange thing. Like, this movie also forgets that it does this. There's plenty of times where not only the part where, like, Indiana Jones says, hey, do you have a knife? And we've seen him use this, the kid Mutt use a knife for, like, 10 scenes. But there's also a moment where they get into the temple at the end, and they take out the crystal skull, and they look at a depiction of, like, an alien-looking person, and they're like, Indy, look. And it's like, and like they put the skull up to the picture like, it's that guy's head. It's like, yeah, we're all on board. You've been told multiple times that it's an alien, that these aliens came from this city. You told us
There's a scene earlier where the Soviets have him strapped into a chair in a base camp in Peru, and they go over to the sarcophagus that they got from the Area 51 site and open it, and it's an alien.
And again, reaffirming for him, this is an alien, not the skeleton of an alien.
And inside the alien, by the way, is crystal bone structure.
Yep.
So it's like 30 minutes into the movie is like this moment of just like, you know, yeah, well, it's an alien and the crystal skulls are aliens, and look into the eyes and it'll like do things to you. And what else do we have to do with this movie? Have we forgotten anything? Because we just want to get it in the first 5 minutes.
We got to do that snake bit. We still got Indiana Jones snake bit.
Oh, and the ants. We got to do the ants.
Yeah.
We got to do the monkey swinging. We got to do the waterfall. We got to do the flying saucer.
Look, I got a lot more CGI scenes coming up, so we gotta cut through this stuff real fast.
We gotta
you know what we can do?
move here.
Let's cut out some of this character development. You know,
I think that's a good idea.
Marion and Indy, as soon as they see each other, they want to bone real fast.
They're just right there,
real quick.
Yeah.
Also, I think the kid should accept him as his father real fast as well.
And you know what? Go ahead and cut all of John Hurt's lines.
All of them?
Yeah.
But he's got so many good lines. We hired John Hurt to do all these
Just
beautiful
have
lines.
him mumble most of the movie. It'll make more sense.
Wow,
trust me.
if we cut that out and we add a lot more exposition scenes,
It'll be the exact same length, but way shittier.
but we're gonna keep all those puzzle scenes where they're solving all those puzzles.
Duh. What do you think Indiana Jones is all about but solving puzzles?
So good at this. High five.
I guess it's an Air 5.
Air 5. That's right. Well, I mean, I think that's everything.
Yeah, and I'm almost done with the engine here.
Well, great. Well, I guess let's get into our punch up. Maybe we'll be good to go.
I'm down.
So I've thought about this a lot, and I think the easiest thing you do here to make this work is you hide Indiana Jones for like 80% of this movie. When I say hide, I don't mean he's not in it. I mean, for most of the movie, he is Henry Jones Jr.
He's Professor.
He's Professor
yeah.
Jones. That's what he is for most of the movie. He is in a suit. He's in like a bow tie or a tie
like
or whatever.
that,
Like
yeah.
he's looking like old, dressed up. Maybe he has glasses. Whatever it is, make him old Henry Jones Jr. for most of the movie.
And what? How does he?
How do you start it? Right? What's the call to action if you have him just being a professor?
I got one.
Okay.
All right. Okay. How about this? We got this Mutt character, right?
Yes. Terrible character.
I obviously hate the name and the character and all that kind of stuff, and basically the whole thing. What if instead of this goofy reveal that he's the son, you
Right.
know, which is telegraphed like the whole movie,
For the whole movie, we know it.
something like he is the main character.
Okay. So we're taking it from the perspective of Mutt
And let's say we know that he's Indiana Jones's son.
from the jump.
Yeah, from the beginning.
Okay.
Like we just know he's
I like
Indiana
that.
Jones's son, and maybe like we don't know from which mother.
So
but
it's kind of left mysterious.
it's
like,
a little bit left mysterious.
Maybe he's
I
reading
don't
like
know.
a telegraph, like, hey, like, remember, like, your dad's a little hard to get to know, or like, he ends up being Marion's son.
Right.
But like, she kind of explains in the telegraph or whatever, like, you know, he kind of runs from responsibility. Like, you can't just flat out tell him, you're his son, even though you want to. Like, you gotta, like, hide that a little bit. So I like that because that creates drama, right? That creates drama between Indiana Jones, well, Henry Jones and the kid.
And what's cool about it is that it's like this, it creates mystery too. There's an allure back. You know, the first shot of Indiana Jones, I know they do a callback in this movie where they see the shadow of the hat and he puts on the hat and everything. But like the first scene, you don't see Indiana Jones. So in order to do that again, but without the sort of, you know, if we start with Indy or whatever, you can make a movie where you start with Indy and he's just an old guy and everything. But how about you start where you're not Indy? You're like this little kid, kind of like the audience is like little kids.
Yeah.
And you go and you want to see this guy. He's a marvel. He's a legend, but he's also a recluse and he's a mystery. And he teaches at this college. He keeps to himself.
So it's like the opening scene, but instead of we're following this kid's trying to follow somebody through the jungle,
we're in the back of a class.
We're in the back of a class,
That's
or
right.
we're following him through the halls of a college, but it's still that same mysterious. We don't see his face. We're following his back.
Yeah.
You've got like the shadows working for you. Yeah, that's a really fun twist. See, that's a fun subverting of the original opening of Indiana Jones. 'Cause now he's not that Indian anymore.
He's not that guy, and he's just a dude in a tweed jacket and a bow tie.
And maybe we see him for half a moment, like we see the hat, like we think he's gonna be that same way, and the light flips, and then you see him take off this hat, and he's in like a tweed jacket and like glasses, and we're like, oh, that's.
Or the
not
hat. The
what I
hat is like
expected.
somebody else's hat.
Right. Like there's some like mix up where we think we're gonna see that same classic opening, but it's subverted, being
not
like
yet. He signs up for one of his classes, let's say. He shows up at the door. It says Dr. Henry Jones, you know?
Right.
He kind of smiles at it or something like that. Then he goes and he sits in the back of the class and he watches as Dr. Henry Jones gives this professorial, you know, thing, but it's boring. He's not interesting anymore. He's not, you know, whatever. And then, you know, just like in the other Indiana Jones movies, there's like a guy that comes in and
always
like
interrupts him.
Yeah, right. Interrupts him in class or whatever. We see that from like the student's perspective. Then he dismisses class, Dr. Jones does, and everyone leaves, but they start a conversation, Professor Jones and this guy. And we don't hear any of the conversation. We're with the kid as he like walks up slowly, and we hear like the tail end of it. And it's like, the board is questioning your tenure.
You know, your class attendance has dropped. Like maybe when
There
we're
you
in his
go,
class,
yeah.
there's like 5 people in there.
Right. And it's like, why don't you take a vacation? And he's just
Get
like,
the passion back.
I used all my vacation hours. Professor Jones, by the way, this whole time has noticed that this kid is here and is getting a little skittish that he's like listening to this conversation.
What is this kid doing? Like following me around?
And so he's like, can I help you? You know, and the kid's like taken aback a little bit, you know.
This is for us, and we know this at this point. That's his dad. And he's like, he's been so in awe of probably this man for his whole life, you know, from the stories he's heard. And now he sees like, you know, where's Indiana Jones?
And listen, whether we know that right then at the time, or we learn that in like the next scene or in a few scenes later,
it's revealed.
You know, it's basically we know the premise of this movie walking in that like Indy's son goes to see Indy, and Indy is all washed up.
Right. And another thing you can do too, like this is your opening. You can also have like a cold open of like something weird happening, so you can like establish like weird stuff's going on. Like throw a weird scenario out there. Your cold open can be a bunch of people walk into we follow a bunch of people in cloak blacked like armor or uniforms, like with guns drawn, going into like an old oak house somewhere in like a foreign country or wherever it is, and like they're going through and they hear noises and they see like lights down the hall. They creak open and kick in the door, and we have, you know, kind of a soft reveal of like who will probably be our villains of the movie, whether they be Russian or former Nazis or whatever it
Hydra.
is. Called bad guys. So the bad guys go into the back room, and we see like something really weird. You know, go crazy with it. Have like blue crystals on the ground with like weird twisting spectral ghosts around bodies of people laying on the ground. Not brutal, because this is Indiana Jones. This isn't a horror movie, but like something really unsettling and weird. And then like, and then they all disperse, and then like they reach down and like pick up this blue crystal or whatever it is, and they're like, we have the last piece, and whatever it is.
Yeah, there you go.
Or the second to last piece or something like that. Like, I don't know, but like do like a weird cold open like that, and then we can follow the story of Indiana Jones and the Sun, but we know we're going somewhere.
And at some point,
and don't make the cold open Indiana Jones in Area 51.
And at some point, we know that those two things are going to collide.
Those things are going to meet.
You know, somehow.
And now, how does the Sun... I like this, by the way. How does the Sun get Indiana Jones back into the game? I think you have him like do kind of this like a little bit of like Goodwill Hunting, but like reversed, you know, like he books all of his office hours. Like Indy's like, nobody books my office hours anymore.
And Professor Jones just thinks that this is like some, you
Stalker
know,
kid.
Well, he's had a lot of these over the years. A kid comes in, he's a young archaeologist, or he's like an adventure seeker, and he thinks that Indiana Jones is like a thing, and he's like, it's a legend, kid, you know.
And what I like about it is maybe these are people that are just like interested in the adventure, but have never like done it, or have never like put in the time or the effort. They're just like, it's easy, right? And he's like, you have no idea like how much preparation, like how many languages do you know?
They're thrill seekers.
And like he has this kind of tit for tat for this kid in his office at some point, kind of like basically a conversation that he does to everyone who comes in his office to throw them out, but this kid is throwing things right back at him. And like, well, you probably don't even know the 7 blah 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 blah, and he's like, oh well, I mean that's in the common books. So it's like, well, not that text. That text is actually translated in the scroll that's kept in the 50th museum.
See, as you can see in my notebook,
and he pulls out a notebook,
like a diary.
That's great.
And he has a diary, and Indy, like, you know, for the first time we see Indy like turn his head, and we see like the side of his face like interested for the first time, and an eyebrow raise, basically a moment where
we can play a little bit
raises.
with that Indy silhouette, a little bit more.
Yeah,
of that
there
Indy
you
silhouette
go.
by the window.
It's the first thing that perked his ears in like the last 20 years.
And he's like, you know, let's, you know, fine, let's go get a drink. I'll get a drink. We'll talk, and like you can have some really fun like warm scenes. We know he's the Son at this point, but Indy doesn't. They're opening up a little bit more. We can see like whatever happened to Indy, like losing his friends, like Marcus. Like in this movie, they say like Marcus is gone, but like played a little bit more weighted.
He's lost Marcus. Maybe he's lost the love of his lives.
Yeah, like
you know,
maybe he thought he's lost Marion,
right?
And like all these people, like we can just see like a beat up Indy, but like having these conversations with the kids start to make him feel lighter. And I think here's an idea for a scene where you can have like where the kid kind of like puts it in him really strong. He goes like, you know what, let's go to a museum. You know, God forbid we go to a museum in Indiana Jones
So it's
movie.
a kid taking father to the museum.
Taking father to a museum. He takes him to a museum, and they're walking around and looking at exhibits, and they're talking about it like, hey, this stone was this, and like I don't need to get back into it. He's like, yeah, but anybody can tell me like about this old text, this cup here. Anyone can tell me about this piece of stone. It's in books, but do you know many people who can tell me how much it weighs or how it feels? And like you can even have Indy like slip up and be like, yeah, it's actually a lot heavier than you think. And it's like, really?
Yeah.
How heavy is it? Where did you... And like maybe he opens him up like, where did you get it? It was like, well, I was actually on the back of this truck and these Nazis were shooting at me. Like, you know, whatever it is. Like,
sure, right.
He's opening up like, and you see Indy start to like get into this old story of like when he used to adventure, and the kid's like, listen, to be honest, like the real reason I came here is because I've been chasing this thing down for a long time, and there's only been, well, 2 people who've ever done the legwork on this beforehand to get as far as I have, and that was your father and you. Like, maybe he calls back, like he shows him in that notebook that he revealed earlier.
Right,
like,
yeah.
I've been chasing down this symbol, and I've started to see it.
What if it's like, yeah, okay, he's been chasing a symbol. It's a mysterious
a symbol or an object or whatever it is.
Right.
And what is the MacGuffin of this film?
Atlantis.
Atlantis. Why not do Atlantis?
Exactly.
You did everything else, do Atlantis.
Yeah.
So, like, then that's like the final call to action for Indy to get into the game.
Well, Professor Jones, no, it's not, because Professor Jones is like, oh, I knew it. I knew that you were a thrill seeker. I knew that you were another one of these guys. You exploited my trust. You did this. You did that.
Okay,
like,
so we have like a little bit of a...
And there's a pushback. There's a refusal of the call, you know? He's just like, ugh, just go away, kid. Don't
Or
leave
maybe
me,
he
you know?
finds in his notebook, like, he sees, like, writings about him and the symbol. So he's like, you've been stealing my notes. Or, like, maybe he thinks he's been, like, trying to, like, take his stuff.
Maybe the end of this takes place in Indy's apartment. So they go to the museum.
They've had, like, the museum. They come back. They have some drinks. And, like, they've had, like, a great night of talking about archaeology and stuff. They have their breakup fight, right? Like, Indy kicks him out of the place.
Okay.
He's mad at him. Like, the kid goes home and he's, like, you know, broken, basically. Like, this is my dad just basically telling me to, you know, get out of here. And the next day he goes to meet Indy in his office again to apologize and maybe do what he can. And he runs into these guys, like, have gone in and are, like, roughing up Indy.
Oh.
And Indy back in the day, like, would, like, throw punches and knock these guys around.
And
but
find
again,
some way out of it, right?
But again, like, Indy, even after this kid, like, he, you know, he had a little bit of light left in him, but then, like, the thing with the kid kind of brought him down, and now, again, he doesn't have the fight left in him. These guys are the bad guys we saw in the cold open.
Nice.
They're coming to get some remaining information from this guy.
Okay.
And so now we have Indy meeting the villain. We have him actually meet the villain in the opening
and because
of this film.
they know that he knows about this kind of stuff, so maybe bad guys just who are after archaeological things come and beat up Indiana Jones every once in a while.
Indiana Jones knows a lot of stuff.
He like knows all this stuff, but he's too old to fight back anymore.
And they even make a comment, like, maybe they brought a bunch of guys. You can have like a really nice moment where this guy comes in with like 4 big dudes. Like, he's like prepared to be like, don't worry, Jones, like, we came, like, I came prepared for this.
And when the kid walks up, there's like a bunch of guys standing outside the room, and he's just like, what's going on? And you hear something going on inside, you know? And then, like, you know, he comes out and he's just like, the bad guy says, like, I brought 4 men, but it looked like it only took 1.
Yeah.
You're a shell of what you used to be.
Exactly. So we have this really great dig from the villain and like a personal rivalry right from the jump.
And Indiana Jones is still in the room, still tied to a chair, bleeding.
And the kid comes in, and, like, you know, Indy is now, you know, after last night and this encounter, like, he's completely like,
he's broken, man.
Get out of here.
He's
like,
broken.
I don't ever want to see you,
Yeah,
like, take your
right.
stuff. And, like, then the kid can say, like, she said you'd be like this. Or, like, she said you
yeah.
shirk responsibility.
That's when
and
it
then
breaks
he's like,
him,
what?
yeah.
And then that's when it all, like, clicks together. Like, we find out from the son that, like, Marion is actually dealing with these
Like, working
guys
for these guys?
that just came in to rough him up.
Excellent.
And, like, then he puts it together, like, these guys are really bad. Like, we got to do something about this.
Marion's not only alive, she's in trouble.
Exactly. And we hinted earlier in these, like, bar scenes or whatever, like, Indy talks about this old love he used to have. And this is, like, now he has not only, one, I've got to possibly save her from these terrible people, but also, like, I have a chance again. And we don't have to fully reveal that the kid is the son at this point, but, like, maybe he says, like, I work with her, or I, like, help her on this project, or,
Sure.
like, she recommended that I come see you.
Right.
So, and I've done, you know, I've studied you for years or whatever. So we still don't have to reveal the son thing until, like, the third act of the film, right?
To Professor Jones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I think for the rest of the movie goes, guys, like, we did a lot of front end building here, but I think for the rest of the movie, you do an Indiana Jones adventure, you still keep him as Professor Jones for most of the movie.
You keep him in a jacket and glasses.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
And
his glasses break at one point. Little pieces of him break.
Of Indiana Jones is coming back. And when he
Right.
meets Marion, it's not instant love connection again. We spend a lot of that movie of them rebuilding their relationship.
Maybe Marion broke his heart.
Maybe. That would be great. And one last thing I have to add to this punch-up, if, like, you know, the kid and Indy are in, like, the final whatever with the Nazis or the Russians or whoever the villains, the bad guys are of this movie, in Atlantis for the final scene, maybe they're in an air blimp. You know, we're
The druids.
Yeah, right.
The antediluvians.
Yeah, whatever they're called.
Right.
They're in an airship. The airship is going to nuke Atlantis and do whatever it is, or whatever the heck is going to happen in this finale.
Yeah.
And I just want a moment where, like, Indy's in, like, the back of this airship or in something, and he realizes whether, like, the kid's his son, and, like, Marion's tied up, and, like, the nuke thing's going to go off, and, like, Indy has this moment where he's just like, all right, I've taken off the jacket, rolling up the sleeves. Like, again, he's not in indie outfit. Like, he doesn't find like a leather jacket and like shit in the back room and just put on different clothes. But it's like, you can make that work. You take off the tweed jacket, you take off the bow tie. He wears like basically like a button-up white shirt and pants.
Already dirty and greasy from the adventure that they've been on.
He like rolls up the sleeves, and like you have like this great moment where like I say airship just because like it defines like that perfect running of the gauntlet, because this to me is like Indiana Jones's final stand. Like when he gets up for this time, like we have to recognize that like he's exerting a lot in this final scene. Like he has to be putting all of it in there, but he's putting it on the line for the love of his life and what he now knows is his son, to stop these dudes that he thought maybe he got rid of years ago.
And he's out of breath. He can barely muster the strength.
But like this is like kind of like, this is like Old Boy. This is like any movie where like he's just, I say airship because it's like going down a single line, like taking out Nazi dudes, punching guys. Like he whips out his belt. He takes off his belt, which is his whip.
Nice.
So he like, you know, he starts like whipping guys with it, like creative ways to bring some of that stuff back. And then you've got to have this final moment where Indy gets into the control room, kicks open the door. The guy looks back, and you have however it's set up, he sees this silhouette of Indiana Jones. Like maybe this whole movie we've called him Henry or whatever it is. At some point someone has to say like Indiana or like Indy or whatever it is. Like there's this ghost is back.
Or like someone says like, you know, Professor Jones, and he's like, it's Indiana.
It's Indiana. And then just punches
someone in the face.
And you have this final, like, just glorious, awesome Indiana Jones fight. If you keep those Indiana Jones moments condensed to, like, 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the end of this film, you will have everybody in the theater just like, yes, that's what we've been waiting for this whole movie. And then at the end of the movie, I don't know, I mean, I think for something like this, you could even end it with Indiana Jones dying. Like, maybe going down with the airship. I know that's like a...
To save Marion
and the son. And I know it's a strong choice.
And the son gets the hat.
Because that's the thing. You can't do another Indiana Jones movie after you do this Indiana Jones movie.
It's true.
You can't do, like, The Last Ride one more time after this. Like, come on, Grandpa. Like, you can drive the car. Like,
it's not a Kiss reunion tour.
Right. So either you ended on the happy note of him ending up with her again and maybe reuniting with the son. They open, like, a new museum. That could be a cute thing.
Yeah, right.
Or you have him, you know, make the final stand against this guy, and he does it gladly, and he does it as Indiana Jones. And that, to me, is how you do Indiana Jones 4 and not the Crystal fucking Skull. I'm glad we talked this out, Todd. I feel a lot better. If I was going to die on this damn airship, knowing that was still up there in my mind, it's going to be dark times for me.
Well, Jay, I got news for you.
Yeah? Oh my God, you got the engine back online!
Yep.
Well, get up here. We got a ship to write.
Well, I got good news and I got bad news.
All right. Well, just tell it to me up here on the bridge, and we'll be good to go.
Jay, I'm not coming back to the bridge.
What do you mean you're not coming back to the bridge?
It's got a pretty big leak in it, and the only way that we can actually get it to work is for someone to do it manually.
You can't stay down there, Todd. You know, if you stay down there, we have to be in the diametric pod, or else.
Jay.
What?
I have to. You're gonna have to pilot the ship.
What do you mean? I can't pilot the ship. I just hit a building like 40 minutes ago.
Yes, you can, Jay. You just have to believe.
I can't do this.
Do you want to hear a story?
I guess, sure.
It's a story about a guy who was too scared to pilot an airship. Sure, his every waking life was surrounded by cucumber men, flying crocodiles, and watching movies in a giant hot air balloon up in the sky.
Sounds pretty familiar.
It does, doesn't it? But they were all really just an excuse not to try something new, to not fail. So what do you say, Jay? Are you going to pilot this ship? Are you going to let me die so that you can live?
I'm not letting go. I'm not letting you die, Todd. If you're going to stay down there and die, I'm going to stay down there and die with you.
I guess we could play Smash-Up.
Yeah, I guess we could. One
last
game of Smash-Up. Wait right there. Hold on.
Hey. What's up?
So, wow. You really do have a lot of gushers down here.
Yeah, I was keeping the stash for a while.
I guess, do you want to start the jingle, or?
Sure.
Yeah.
Smash, smash, smash.
Smash. Oh, I'll play the tape. I'll just play the tape.
I think it's best.
Smash, 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 smash.
Whoa! Welcome to Blockbuster Smash-Up. This is the game that Todd and I play right before we're about to die
Yay.
on an airship.
Yay.
Oh, so excited. So each game of Blockbuster Smash-Up, Todd and I will name a globally accepted good film and smash it together with a globally accepted bad film to make one crazy new film for you guys that
And a new
should not
podcast.
touch. Yeah, and a new a new podcast that would have been. All right, anyways, so for this episode, you've got the globally accepted good film.
That's right.
And I have the globally accepted bad film. So on the count of 3, we will smash them together like an airship smashing with a portal asteroid.
Too soon, man.
Here we go. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Deep Blue
Pleasantville.
Sea. So, Deep Blue Sea and Pleasantville.
So Pleasantville, I don't know if you remember, it's a fabulous movie.
Oh, yeah.
About there's these two kids. One of them is Reese Witherspoon and Tobey Maguire. She is like a high school, popular girl. He is a high school nerd who is in love with the show called Pleasantville.
Right.
And they fight over a remote. Don Knotts shows up. Has like a TV repairman / god, gives them a special remote that sucks them inside the show. And what starts off as a really silly premise turns into a really interesting parable for social issues and civil rights movements and everything, where basically they live in this black and white, they're sucked into this black and white world as the two children of the show that they watch, which is like a Leave It to Beaver-like show.
Right.
And through their knowledge of things outside of places like Pleasantville and sex and all these different abstract thoughts of art and etc., they start to change the town for the better into color, and it becomes a civil rights story.
It's an amazing movie. Now,
Oh, yeah.
I selected Deep Blue Sea, which is a movie. LL Cool J is a chef, a cool chef. In a deep
understands the theory of relativity.
Yep, and he's in a deep underwater shark science facility.
Yep,
where
with
they're,
Thomas Jane.
With Thomas Jane
And a bunch of other people.
and a bunch of people, and
who
they're
get eaten by sharks.
they're studying shark brains because
Yeah.
they can make them smarter because they've never seen a horror movie ever.
They're-
with creatures.
They're studying shark brain, the ability of shark brains to develop regenerative tissue for
Yeah.
Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
So they're injecting the shark brain tissue with some stuff. And
It's
then,
a worthy venture.
And then makes it makes the sharks smarter. And because all sharks are evil, smart evil sharks mean
Killing
people-
everybody. So we have Deep Blue Sea and we have Pleasantville. I think, okay.
You
I
have-
think
do you
you
have one?
have
Do you have an entry
the
point?
Pleasantville version of a life aquatic undersea lab.
Okay, so the Jacques Cousteau
So they're going
show.
to a Jacques Cousteau,
Yeah.
okay, so you have these two kids who love life aquatic. They love
and
that.
they like Shark Week.
Yeah, they like Shark Week.
They like Shark. They like Jaws. They basically like any movie where an amphibious thing
Yep.
is killing people, like Anaconda. They even like a movie called Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah, they love that movie. It's their favorite film.
So LL Cool J from Deep Blue Sea delivers a magical remote to them,
yep.
that sucks them into the Jacques Cousteau program.
Yeah, so they go in and they're finally living the pleasant world. It's so nice here in
Under
this
the sea.
Under the sea,
Under
everybody's
the sea.
everybody's wearing matching jumpsuits and hanging out with each other.
Everyone's better down where it's wetter. Take it from me.
But they didn't realize they didn't follow the directions of the remote correctly, and into the Pleasantville Jacques Cousteau world,
Yeah.
they bring the evil sharks.
So-
Of the other Deep Blue Sea movies, basically are seeping into the Pleasantville world.
So Jacques Cousteau gets just swallowed by an octopus.
immediately.
and they're like, oh, that movie Sphere, and jellyfish just take Joan Allen away
And you
kill
see
her.
these main characters from Pleasantville, as they start getting more into the murdering of these sharks and killing them, after they kill a shark, they turn around and they're no longer black and white. They're just these just emotionally destroyed human beings, but in full color.
Yeah, it's it used to be Kodachrome and in 24 frames per second, but now they're in 60 frames per second, and it looks like a reality TV program.
I don't think you killed Joan Allen because you have to have Joan Allen at the end with a shotgun being let's kill these motherfuckers. Just in a Pleasantville dress, just covered in blood.
At one point, Jeff Daniels is giving a really nice speech. He's the cook on the on the Jacques Cousteau ship.
Yeah.
And he's giving this really great speech next to the toilet. And he...
I'm just trying to understand.
And
Why?
I'm
He's
getting
giving
there.
this great speech. Okay.
Hey, listen, the only place that they can go to anymore is the toilet. It's the only safe place.
Yeah.
They go into the bathroom. And so he gives this great speech, and then just in the middle of the speech, just like an electric eel or anaconda just
comes up through the toilet and kills him.
And like kills him and sucks him back into the toilet.
That's
And,
electric eel.
And they're like, oh no. Then they have to like run away.
LL Cool J, Thomas Jane, Reese Witherspoon, and Joan Allen basically just blowing away sharks, and they have to like kill the giant octopus is like the final thing. They have to set like a nuclear weapon, and they finally like jump back out of the movie as it kills the octopus. But since this is happening in like a real program, like it's forever changed for everyone on Earth. So like kids are like watching the aquatic movie at home being like, what just? And the parents are like walking by like, what the? And they just see Joan Allen just like blowing people away with like a shotgun.
And what's the movie called?
What's the name of this movie? It is
Pleasantville and Deep Blue Sea.
Deep Blue Pleasant Sea? Deep Blueville. Deep Blueville?
Deep Blueville.
Welcome to Deep Blueville.
Yeah.
We did it. Deep Blueville.
So I guess just the death now, huh?
Yeah, just the death.
Yeah. Wait. What'd you say?
Just the death.
No, before that.
Deep Blueville.
Jay.
What?
Jay.
What?
That's it.
What's it?
You're a genius.
What did I say?
Jay, do you remember the teacher that I used to have back in DeVry?
Yeah, when you were taking all that airship technical training.
Professor Blueville.
Professor Blueville. Yeah, you used to talk about him all the time.
He taught me a method.
A method?
Yes, it's the NES method.
What's the NES method?
Well, you just take out this engine cartridge right here and just...
Seriously?
Yeah, you just blow on it.
Well, put it back in and... The autopilot's back on! You don't have to die down here! We don't have to die!
Thanks, Dr. Blueville.
Well, let's get back up there. All right, I've sealed us in the diametric pod. We're ready to go.
You're gonna need to help me. This is a two-man job.
For the steering?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you think I can do it?
Follow your heart.
All right, I'm going in. I mean, we're going in. Well, I think we made it past the event horizon. I think we're gonna make it.
We might just.
And guys, if you're still listening, thanks for sticking with us through this whole crazy adventure. And I guess we're gonna be doing that new show you were talking about.
The Smash-Up.
Blockbuster Smash-Up, our favorite game.
That's it.
All right, guys, well, if we make it, and I think we will, tune in September 14th for the beginning of Blockbuster Smash-Up. Look at the colors. This is... Wow.
You know what, Jay?
What?
I've been waiting a full year and 27 episodes of a podcast to say this.
What's that?
Let's go home.